2014 Chevy Silverado 1500 with a 4.3. Going to do the water pump. It's the round style water pump. So just so you know. All right. So what you want to do is you want to get yourself a drain pan to put it underneath where the water pump is located. Water pump's over here. And it might be necessary to remove the under panel. It's got 6 15mm bolts holding it. That way it doesn't collect coolant when you open the system up. So what you need to do is remove the air filter induction housing. It's a 8mm hose clamp there, 8mm hose clamp there. And you got this hose here for the breather system. You gotta push up on the clip on the bottom and pull it off, and then you can twist it, okay? So you need to loosen them up, wiggle it, and then you can pull it off, okay? Next thing you need to do, after you got the air induction tube off, is remove the serpentine belt. And you need your 1/2-inch ratchet, preferably a long one. So you can undo the tensioner and remove the belt. Write down a diagram of the belt on a piece of paper. And then you can remove it. What you want to do is you put your 1/2-inch ratchet on there, and you want to push it that way. Okay, I have a new pump. The new pump looks like, and it has 6 10mm bolts holding it on. So you need to get yourself a 10mm deep, and then go through the little holes in the pulley and remove the 6 bolts, okay? And make sure you got a drain pan underneath, and make sure the system is not hot. If it is hot, you need to remove the cap to relieve the pressure. I would usually drain the system of the coolant from down below, but sometimes when you open them up, it seems like you create a leak in the future. So what I'll do is I put a pan underneath, I remove that under panel cover so nothing's really gonna hold any fluid. So then I'll unbolt the water pump, and I'll take the water pump off and let the coolant hopefully drain into my pan down below, and then I'll just wash it off when I'm all done. So I removed one of the bolts. If you got a magnet, helps out. Remember, there's 6 of them. Once you got all the bolts out, it might start leaking. If it does start leaking, dripping onto the ground, go down below and put your pan in the center of where it's dripping at. And then you can come back up here and get yourself a screwdriver, stick it in between here and the pulley, the housing, and just pry it off. And make sure you hold on to the pump so it doesn't fall down below. Okay. Okay, I got it loose. Just sitting in there. So now I'll go loose my cap, and it should drain even more. You can regulate how fast it drains by loosening and tightening your cap. Okay. So you can go down below and make sure you're getting it into your pan. Okay, I got my cap off. And it's draining. Now I can pull my pump out. Slow it down a little bit. All right. I don't want to splash in too many places. Okay. There's my pump. Now, just want to look at it. Really can't see nothing. But, okay. See the crusties right in there? That means it was leaking and it's sitting inside there and build up the crust. If you got crusties, then you know you had a leak, okay? So now what I'll do is clean up the surface where the gasket's at. Get that gasket off of there. Try not to damage that housing. It's just, I think it's a metal gasket, so it's cool. All right, that comes off really nice. But anyway, clean that all up. And if you see here, it's a dowel pin alignment. So make sure you put that with your new pump. It's got a hole for it, okay? Clean it up. What I'll do is I'll blow some air in there to help remove that excess puddle inside there so it doesn't just keep on draining on me, okay? And then I'll get my new pump, put a little sealer around on the inside here, on that edge, and then I'll put my gasket in there, and then I'll line up my pump and put it up in there and start my bolts, okay? Okay, I cleaned the surface up, blew some air in there to get the fluid level down below so it doesn't sit there and keep on draining on me, okay? See how that is? All right, now I'm gonna get my pump ready. Okay, first you wanna do is figure out which way that gasket goes with the dowel, okay? This is where the dowel goes. So this is gonna go like that because this dowel is closer to this hole that my thumb's on. Put a little bit of silicone in there. That way when you put it up on there, that it stays on there. And I really wanted to get a little bit of bead around the base of the pump. So I would just put it on both sides just a little bit, okay? If this had more than one gasket on it, do not put any silicone on it because it acts as a shock absorber. So when you tighten it up, it doesn't properly seal. But this is only a single gasket, so we're fine. All right, so I'm gonna put this up in there, and then I'm gonna guide my pump in there, and I'm gonna get my bolt started. If you have a longer bolt, you know, in your stock at home, use that for a guide to put it into your pump hole and feel around so you can find where the hole is in the housing, okay? Use it for a guide, okay? So I stuck the long bolt through the pump, okay? So it sticks through. And I also marked on my pulley where my dowel pin hole is to help me line up to that one, okay? So I got this started into the housing, that long bolt I had. So now I can just push the housing up in there and kind of line this up and it all go together. Okay, remember I used this one for a guide to help start my pump because you can stick it past and see where it goes into the housing. And then I guided another bolt in to the pump with my socket. And I got that one started. So now I just work my way around with the rest of the bolts, okay? So now I can take out my guide because I got my bolt in there and my little dowel pin lined up. So now I can remove this one and put in the rest of my bolts. Snug them up. Okay, once you got them all snugged up, then you want to go around star pattern and tighten them up. And you want to torque them to 18 foot-pounds. That ain't much, but they're little bolts, so just keep doing that all the way around a bunch of times. That way it's all equal and you squished out the excess sealer in there. Okay, since you got that done, then you want to clean off the bottom down there. Get some washer solvent, pour in there, or some water, and then blow it to clean it up, okay? Blow all the excess off and get it out of the pulley on the crank too, okay? All right, and then you remember how to put the belt back on with that diagram you drew. So put the belt back on. Okay, it's all cleaned off and I got the belt on. Now remember the belt goes around the alternator, to the water pump, around the idler, down to the crank, up around another idler, then goes underneath the tensioner, back around to the water pump. Okay. All right, now that's good. Now we can put our air induction pipe back on. Okay, you got it all connected. You notice this piece, it's a metal bracket right here. So what you want to do is this bracket goes inside the metal bracket. Sitting there. So what you want to do is you want to push this side down a little bit and tighten this clamp and then tighten that clamp. And don't forget to put your breather tube back on fully, okay? So then that's all tight. Now you can put your coolant in. Put the coolant in and start it up. Let it run. Let it get hot. Double check your coolant. Take it for a little ride, let it cool down a little bit, double check your coolant level, take the cap off, let it sit, let it cool down, and then top it off. And then you'll be done, okay? And if you want, you can drive it around a little bit more. Make sure you got good heat. If you don't have heat, you got an air pocket in the system. That means you gotta make sure you get all the air out of the system and bleed it, okay? What you wanna do is rub it up a little bit if you don't have no heat. To get that pump to circulate and push that air through there, that gets back into the reservoir tank, okay? And once you're all done with the fluid level is great, and just inspect it for leaks again. And if you took that lower panel off, go underneath, clean it up the best you can again, and then put that panel back up there with them 6 15mm bolts, and then you're all set. If I helped you out with this water pump, that's great. If you can help me out and subscribe to me, if you already subscribed to me, you're awesome, and I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.